BKW. I'm Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Milwaukee. With me, as always, Brian Rowitz from ESPN West Palm. And don't worry, Jay Hood, we'll let you know what day Full Gear is. As he is joining us from ESPN 1000, he is Jonathan Hood. And that's where we have to start. We are starting with the man who is challenging Jon Moxley for that AEW World Championship Saturday, Mox. Saturday, not Sunday. It's coming up on Saturday.
MJ. He can't compete with the NFL. He got part of the Jaguars. You can't compete with the NFL. Those are the rules.
Oh, man.
MJF challenging Jon Moxley Saturday at Full Gear. Does MJF have to go over in this contest against Jon Moxley?
He doesn't have to go over, but I think that would put a bow on the story of MJF. You could see the swerve coming because we saw the group that he hired to try to take out Jon Moxley was out there, and he took all those guys and was beating them up and chasing them out of the ring. But you just know that some way, somehow, MJF's going to have some help to be able to be the new AEW champion. I think that for me, bro, I think it's a perfect storm right now for MJF to win the championship, go into 2023 with something new and fresh, the devil being the AEW champion.
See, I agree with that, but the MJF I want as a champion is heel MJF. I don't want this babyface MJF. He's cutting the promo last night after they go off air, talking about how Tony Khan gave wrestling fans, AEW, and there'd be a monopoly otherwise. Like, no, I want heel MJF. I want MJF to be an a-hole to people. And that MJF is a world champion with all their baby faces chasing. That is something I want to get behind moving forward this year. And honestly, maybe all through 2023.
We're getting heel. Don't worry, Brian. We're going to get heel MJF.
Okay.
That's the only way. He told you as much last night at the end of his promo. The biggest trick the devil ever played was making you think he didn't exist. And he has been spending all this time trying to make the people, because you can't be the devil. Your persona can't be, your nickname for yourself can't be the devil, and you be a baby face. That makes no sense. You can't be doing that. So how do you do it? Yes, you use the firm, you use Stokely Hathaway's crew, W. Morrissey, all those guys. Yeah, because it's a little fishy that somehow he's able to be, this crew came into All Out, cleaned house, like all these other wrestlers that are in the Casino Royale ladder match. They clean house of 6, 7 other guys. And MJF can clear them out just with one guy? No, something's a little fishy. Something's a little up with that. And the only way for MJF to be the devil is to be heel and align himself with the firm. Yes, he hired the firm. That's the only way he beats Jon Moxley. It's the only thing. If we're putting a bow on the story, that's what makes sense to me. You put the bow on the story of having MJF actually be a heel. He's been a heel all along. MJF going over clean over Moxley, I'm going to be very confused. But at the same time, I would be very anxious then to see Dynamite on Wednesday.
I'll throw this out there. I saw it tweeted a few times last night. The firm, the Stokely thing, that seems like the obvious way they're doing things right now. What if MJF heel winning on Saturday isn't because of the firm, but it's because of Regal?
Yeah.
I love that as a twist. Absolutely. I love that as a twist. I think either way, guys, we're going to get MJF as a heel that's going to get cheered. And for some old schoolers, they don't like cool heels like the NWO and others back in the day. But ultimately, this is what it is. Wherever he goes, based on the way he does his promos, he's going to get cheered. So, yes, he's going to be a heel, but people are going to like him. I want to ask this. I want to throw this out in the conversation regarding MJF too. So all three of us, and I think our listeners also really appreciate MJF because he's the best on the mic in the business. There's no scripts there. I'm on New Japan, WWE, AEW, anywhere else. Nobody captivates like MJF because he looks right in the camera and he tells you what he thinks based on how he feels. What's more intriguing to him for you? What's more intriguing? Is it the promos or his wrestling ability? Think about this. MJF at the top of the card as a heavyweight champion who actually doesn't need the championship. He actually doesn't need it, a la Roddy Piper. Piper never needed the championship because he was just over. But what's more intriguing, what he says or what he does in the ring?
What he says, 100%. What he says. And here's and I don't want to say that and undersell him as a wrestler because what AEW has done with him in terms of being in the ring, they've made it a special attraction. He doesn't wrestle very often. He's not John Moxley going out there and defending the championship, every other week on Dynamite or on Rampage. He's not that guy. He's a special attraction. So I think we kind of forget. But when he goes in the ring, he puts on really entertaining matches. I think when he gets the opportunity to go out and wrestle, he's good. That being said, like, as good of a wrestler as he is, like, he would have to be like one of the best wrestlers. He would have to get up to Bryan Danielson, Ray Phoenix in terms of technical ability in the ring to match what he does on the mic. Because what he does on the mic, everything he's and him as a babyface, that would get boring on the microphone very quickly. Him as a heel, taking everybody out, yes, that would be interesting.
Now what you said is interesting. He does put on some fantastic matches. When he's in there, it's technically sound. He knows what he's doing in there. But as fantastic as Roman, we're talking about the heavyweight champion now. I'm just saying, top of the card, and AEW is different than WWE in that regard, right? WWE is like, Come see the show, but Roman is the draw. MJF the draw the same way?
Yes, because of what he does on the mic, though. Like, the MJF storylines, like those payoffs, it doesn't really matter what he does in the ring. Like, the Wardlow situation, the Jericho stuff, the Punk stuff, that's all based on mic work and storytelling and angles and things like that, to where it's not an 8-star match when they go, but it's that payoff, and you want to see him get his, and him as a heel champion with whoever chasing him, with any of these top faces, those are those payoffs that you get, and I think ultimately that's the draw. You say, okay, I want to see this guy get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, I don't listen. For me, he doesn't have to be world champion. I'm glad he's in this position. He doesn't have to be the AEW champion for me to appreciate him as a top 2 or top 3 wrestler in that company. The promos, as I told you guys, and I've seen a lot over the years, I mean, it could resonate in any era of wrestling. Going back to the 1960s, I mean, Buddy Rogers was talking like this without the expletives. I mean, he was a fantastic talker. All throughout the eras, nobody MJF could be able to be that guy. But I just wonder about him being the guy, being at the top of the card, being the main eventer. I'm not going to say he's going to get stale because he's always interesting, entertaining. I'm just wondering from a wrestling standpoint, Gabe, whether or not that matters or not. I mean, is AEW strong enough to say, here's our heavyweight champion? He may not give you, as you guys said, a 10-star match, but he's going to give you the fundamentals. And that's a far cry from a lot of the champions in the WWE. Not a bad thing, just different.
Yeah, I'm a Mox Mark. I don't think Mox is. I mean, it's just he's got a brawling style. He's not putting on 5-star classic after 5-star classic. He's out there. He has his style, and it's whether it's your style or not. I mean, he goes out there and he performs. I don't think you're going to see John Moxley at the top of Meltzer's best matches of the year at the end of it, right? It's just not. So I think in that same light, like, you can still do that with MJF. He doesn't have to be going out there putting on the best matches. You have a great roster of wrestlers to go out there and put on those other matches. He can give you that different thing. He can come out and cut that promo, be able to carry rivalries with his mic work. And I'm looking forward to it because it could be potentially kind of that next step, that next chapter in AEW. They tried to turn the page and have that first, AEW guy. This is where he's really come up and come into his own champion in Hangman Adam Page. Kind of fizzled out. The championship itself, the chase was fantastic. And the way they told the story of him finally chasing down Omega was great. They just didn't have anything for him once he won the championship. I don't think that's going to happen with MJF. And obviously MJF had success elsewhere before he came to AEW, but he's really been an AEW guy, despite him doing everything that he's done, calling Tony Khan a bleeping mark on national television. Like, he's still been an AEW guy, and this could be the first really good run for an AEW guy as their top champion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sort of the next chapter of AEW, and he tweeted as much this week. He said, "There's been a shadow casted over AEW by a bunch of effing BS. We are closer than ever to stepping out of the darkness and into the light. We have the roster. We have the platform. Now all we need is stability, change, and leadership. We need the devil. I'm ready." Like, this seems to be that next step for AEW. Like, to have a homegrown guy as your world champion, as the face of the company, this seems like a big moment on Saturday.
I think so too. I think that quote was kind of a shot at CM Punk, And I've seen a lot of
100%.
that on social. You could tell that they're just like, okay, this guy, and boy, I can't wait for the documentary to be told and for us to really find out what CM Punk was like in AEW. We got a little remnants, a few kernels of truth, right? But Gabe, I can't wait to find out, like in a documentary form, everything with CM Punk. Was he really a bad influence or not? Because you see some of these AEW wrestlers, just like Bros just said, are just tweeting out a few things saying we're out of this darkness, this malaise, and now AEW can be what it was supposed to be. Original AEW talent being able to get over because it's new and not WWE.
This is probably the professional wrestling fan in me just having my ears perk up at something, and I just found it curious. But the start of his promo last night, when he comes down, he clears everybody out, and Mox just got beat up. The way he started that promo, I didn't go back and listen word for word, but it was really close word for word with how CM Punk started the pipe bomb on John Cena. And it just, like, man, that's... and again, but he didn't do anything else with it, so it wasn't really like a shot at Punk or anything like that. It was really curious to me that that's how he chose to start that promo.
Yeah, it was the part of saying, John, I know you're down there, and I know you can hear me while you're down and hurt, because that's how the CM Punk promo started about John Cena. John, I know you're down there, and I know that you can hear me, but blah blah blah. It started the same way. I saw that on social. I thought that was an interesting dichotomy.
And I mean, even the post.
What if CM Punk's the devil? What if CM Punk comes in, huh? What if CM Punk's the devil? Huh? No?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, let's not. No.
Well, but again, because
commentary, he doesn't have time anymore.
Well, because the reason why that's interesting is because the first person, at least to my knowledge, in professional wrestling, who used the best trick that the devil ever played was convincing you he didn't exist. That was a CM Punk thing. Mm-hmm. That was a Punk thing. So now we've got two connections with Punk and MJF.
Imagine if CM Punk just showed up just to be able to give MJF the rub after MJF wins the championship. Like, that would just blow everyone's mind. Like, oh, he's still around? Now, he's still... You know what? I don't know if you have it, bro. But I think some of the promotional stuff for AEW on the road, I think CM Punk's face is still there.
Really?
I believe it is. I believe it is. His face is still there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is the case. Is he still on the roster on AEW Wrestling on their website? I think he might be.
What I'm saying is, this is professional wrestling, and I have not ruled out that CM Punk is absolutely done. Like, until I actually see that his contract was bought out, there's still, to me, at least a little creak of a door that everybody comes to their senses and realizes that they can still make money off of him. And if the elite in him can bury the hatchet, that you could make money off of that.
CM Punk gives MJF the rub somehow, some way at Full Gear. Now imagine to see his face back in the AEW, and the elite is going to be there too. Like, that could be wild. Oh, look at that.
AEWWrestling.com. There is Mr. Punk right between Claudio and Colt Cabana.
No.
The alphabet. It's a weird way it works.
Interesting.
Again, is it likely to happen? No, but these are things that have caught my attention in terms of parallels between CM Punk and MJF. That's all I'm saying when it comes to that. Something else.
Conspiracy theory karma wrestling. We're going to start.
Yeah, no, we can. Hey, if we want to do like a supplementary podcast where we go through conspiracy theories in pro wrestling, it'd probably be even a longer show than what we currently do. So let's go ahead and dive into the other top three stories in the world of professional wrestling. We like to call it the three counts. Brian, what do we have at number one?
Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reporting that the new WWE regime has reached out to Stone Cold Steve Austin to offer him another match. Many speculating that will take place at WrestleMania 39. So, guys, who do you have Stone Cold face at WrestleMania?
I wonder how this is going to be received, because he was in Texas for the first one, and I don't think people were expecting much, and he probably over-delivered, I would say, from what most people's expectations were. So how much longer can you continue to go back to that well? Can you continue to go back to the well? Because it's got to be a similar match where, I mean, I don't see Stone Cold doing a bunch of moves because he didn't really do a lot of moves. It was just kind of a brawl where they went out with KO into the stands a little bit, worked their way back to the ring before he finally put KO down. So I'm curious.
So no suicide dive, you're saying?
Correct. So before we get to his opponent, I'm curious how long you can go back to that well. I'm not saying that this is a bad idea because it's a good idea. He's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anytime that glass shatters in a WWE arena, anytime I hear that glass shatter, I mark out. Like, it could just be like me and 5 other people. Somebody drops a window. I'm going nuts because I think the guitar riff is coming next. But I wonder how long you can go back to it. You can certainly go back to it for this WrestleMania. But will we like it a third time, a fourth time? How long do we want to see Stone Cold wrestle the way he wrestled like he did this past WrestleMania?
As long as the phone rings and he picks up, because guys, this might be your new Undertaker. I'm actually surprised. No, I'm serious. Like, I'm surprised that he picked up the phone again because I thought, you haven't wrestled in 19 years. You brawl with Kevin Owens in the right way where you don't feel like you got hurt. He said afterwards that he felt good afterwards. So this might be the new attraction. All these guys are getting older, and you're running out of attractions. Undertaker, as far as we know, is done. If Austin keeps picking up the phone for WrestleMania, do it. And I would tell you this, that there's a number of guys that he can go after. Obviously, Roman's not one of them. But what if we talk about the guy we just talked about in the previous segment? What if CM Punk will do business with the WWE? And you have the two best talkers out there in CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, again, this will not be a match. It'll be some kind of schmaz or kind of brawl between the two. But I think them verbalizing and going back and forth in promos, that will sell it for itself. You got 2 nights of WrestleMania in Los Angeles you got to sell. What if that's on one of the top of the cards? What if that's the Saturday show? That's not bad.
Yeah, no, I agree in that situation. I mean, overall, excuse me, I don't know if I want to see Austin again. Like, it was really good the first time. Like, last year was really good. But, like, I agree with you, Gabe. Like, I don't think we're going to reach those standards again. Like, we sort of know what to expect. On the flip, though, him coming back and doing TV and, cutting promos and being the mouthpiece for someone you're trying to push up, like, I'm all for that. Like, him with a young star that might square off with the Punk or someone like that, that's something I'd be more interested in than seeing Austin in the ring again.
Yeah, and it's going to be really tough to top what he did the second night because then he got to be in the ring with Vince McMahon again. And then obviously with what Pat McAfee did, is going to live on in WWE forever with him being stunned and trying to drink the Stone Cold beer while laying there after feeling the effects of the Stone Cold Stunner. But the first name that popped out to me, and again, a lot of this depends upon how long you're keeping the bloodline together, but why not keep them bloodline adjacent? And KO's buddy, like Sami Zayn. Like, I think Sami Zayn can do the exact same thing that KO did. Sami can work really well. It doesn't work as much as he used to, but I think Sami can work really well. Stone Cold could go over Sami without Sami really being buried down the charts, kind of the same way with KO. He's already established within WWE, especially if the bloodline's still a thing and he's a part of it. Like, that was the one that kind of made sense to me is you could make him, can you imagine, like, Rock comes back, Rock takes on him, Stone Cold still also involved with that, and he's taking on Sami Zayn. I think there's some fun things that you could do there, again, depending upon what else is happening on the card and what's happening with the main story going on in WWE.
I had a similar idea, but I was going to say Solo. Like, they seem to really be buying into him and pushing him up. That's a hell of a rub if you let him go out there and beat Austin.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're bringing Austin back, Austin's not – I mean, maybe Austin would want to lay his shoulders down on the mat for someone, but there's a couple of things here. A, I don't trust Solo Sikoa not to injure Stone Cold Steve Austin. And yeah. B, like, at this point, you're bringing Stone Cold back to be an attraction. He's going to be that attraction that everybody wants to cheer for, and everybody wants to see Stone Cold give someone a stunner, cover him 1, 2, 3, drink some Steve Weisers, and head to the back.
If it's Sami Zayn, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to get booed in Los Angeles. I'm just saying. No. Sami Zayn is a babyface in this bloodline, and he's gotten so popular. Who on this show says Sami Zayn should be the heavyweight champion? That guy up there. All I'm telling you.
Yeah. So wait. We're taking the crazy theories of Brian Rowitz and like pushing him out there as if like a lot of people think this now. That's what we're doing.
Well, no, I'm telling you that Sami Zayn is over, and he's he's one of the top baby faces in the company. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, he gets the nostalgic. Well, he gets the nostalgic pop. Okay, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Sami Zayn to me is a premier baby, as a great baby face, and I don't think that you should confuse the audience in that regard. I really believe that the money is in Punk if he's available.
Yes,
and Steve Austin, because I could give you John Cena, but we've seen that before.
Yeah,
I could give you Cena Austin; it'll do well, but it's not the match I want to see.
No,
I don't want to see Solo Sikoa like injure and fracture Steve Austin, because that's exactly what happened. That guy looks dangerous.
Solo's way too physical, man. He is way too physical. Don't get me wrong; I love it. I love his physical style. Yeah. I just also want to protect Stone Cold Steve Austin at all costs.
I've also seen The Rock thrown out for this. Like, would that be a disappointment if it's Austin Rock again?
Austin Rock 4? Yeah, I'm out.
Nope. But it's still a good match though. Like, again, as far as seeing them one more time, people will get all the feels and nostalgia for it. Yeah. I'm just saying that I got two guys in Austin and Punk. It's funny. This has become the theme of the show now. What if Punk's at full gear? I mean, he might be the new Jeff Jarrett, by the way. He'll do full gear and WrestleMania and the NWA for Flair's last match. Oh yeah, I was about to say he's going to show up for Flair's next last match. Yes. I mean, we got Punk everywhere now. We just put him all over the globe, like New Japan. What's Punk doing there? He's doing MMA commentary over here. So. I just think that would work for money-wise. I think that those two going back and forth would be awesome. But we still are holding out hope for Rock's Roman, aren't we? Is that going to happen? I think so. Yeah. Okay. I would think so. I think that's what we're waiting for. You know, that's the hope for the main events, that you get those two. But again, you have two nights, and to go back quickly to Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn, yes, is over with the WWE audience, but how much of WrestleMania and that audience there is hardcore, watches Raw, watches SmackDown every week, and how much of WrestleMania has become more of the casual, nostalgic audience that Stone Cold is still going to be more over than Sami Zayn? I guess that's the only question I would ask if you were to do those two.
Well, the one thing I would say to that is this is the first non-Vince WrestleMania.
Yes.
Because I agree with you. WrestleMania is for the casual fan. WrestleMania is for the random person. Like, oh, I've heard of WrestleMania. That's like the Super Bowl. Like, oh, I recognize Stone Cold. Oh, I recognize Pat McAfee. Now it's Triple H's WWE for the first time. Maybe Mania is a little different this year. Yes, if it's Triple H's WrestleMania, then Sting will show up and Sting will get his ass whooped like you did at WrestleMania San Francisco for no reason. One of the worst things I've ever seen. He comes to the company and you beat up Sting. Good job, Triple H. Because let's bring up WCW again. Let's just do that. Right. That was a great idea. Wonderful idea. With Sami Zayn, the other thing too is, so I wonder what the DraftKings line is, the betting line of Sami Zayn still being with the Bloodline by the time we get to WrestleMania. Because I think we were looking at KO and Sami. Yeah. Unseating the Usos for the tag team championships. You gotta get those titles off of. We talk about Roman. It's as great as the Usos have been, and they're great. It's time for them to lose the championships as well. And if Sammy's still gonna be with the Bloodline, that's not gonna happen by the time we get to WrestleMania. Which all kind of depends upon how healthy is Kevin Owens. As you know, there's rumors that he injured his knee in Madison during a house show this past Sunday. So who knows what that means for any sort of future plans for those two. And I've also seen rumors that the planned breakup of Sami Zayn out of the Bloodline was already supposed to happen, but it's just been so wildly successful that they want to ride the wave and probably the T-shirt sales of Honorary Uce, and then him saying things like Usi on national television. They just want to keep riding that wave and riding that money train until it dries up, which would be hard to blame them because Sami Zayn has been wildly entertaining. At this point, it will never dry up, though. Honest to God, I don't think they have an end game for this. This is they're making merch, they're making money, it's doing well in the house shows, ratings are up every time that they're on the air. It's they're probably thinking we got to end this at some point, but they don't know there is no end to this bit. I gave them the
Just
end.
goes on,
It's
right?
Sammy beating Roman. I already gave them the end. All we have to do is write that down. Sammy
Okay.
ends Mania holding up the belts. There you go.
Mania.
You're welcome, Hunter.
God.
Yeah, this is the guy. That's the guy. You decided you were going to prop him up, and now he's got even more crazy ideas that he feels like he can just throw out there at any time. This is your fault, J Hood. Your fault.
This man gave us Sammy Stone Cold. Like,
You heard it here first.
oh, for heaven's sakes, no.
What do we got at number 2, Brian?
All right. You speak of KO's injury, that might have complicated things next weekend. Survivor Series War Games, some TBDs in both the women's War Game and the men's. How would you guys fantasy book it? The matches as of now on the women's side: Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley taking on Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and TBD. On the men's side, it is the Bloodline taking on Sheamus, Butch, Ridge Holland, Drew McIntyre, and TBD. So go ahead, fantasy book the War Game matches.
Whew. This is, I mean, trying to find, again, the person that makes the most sense on the men's side is KO. And reportedly, he's just not going to be available. It's tough to kind of draw that line to the next babyface. Like, who would be the most over babyface to put in there? Johnny Gargano was, he's kind of sputting around and kind of now is this middleman with the Miz feud that's going on with Dexter Lumis. So he's kind of cooled off a little bit since he arrived in the company. Like, I guess you could grab one of the members of the New Day just because they showed up and had the feud. I don't know if you put Kofi. I don't know who my guess is you put Kofi and use the fact that he's a former champion there. For the men's side, I really struggle trying to find somebody that makes sense, that you can at least pretend to make sense.
So, okay, for the men's side, because we got to get to the women's side. So the men's side, I just need to know, like, how's Big E doing?
Oh, right. I mean, if Big E was healthy, 100% it's Big E. But if Big E was healthy, I think he would have at least been ringside for the big match this past Friday night on SmackDown.
Randy Orton's out till next year.
That's what it looks like. It seems to be a while that he's out.
His wife, I mean, nobody seems to know when this picture or why he was in the hospital, but his wife posted a picture on social media this weekend or over this past week of him in the hospital for some reason. She alluded to, you won't believe why he's here, but we don't know why he was in the hospital then he was also seen walking around Birmingham, Alabama, where a lot of WWE guys get surgery. So who knows what's going on with him.
We retweeted at GKW_wrestling, our Twitter feed, Randy Orton's son. He's getting after it. He was hitting the ropes. It's on our Twitter feed. He's going to be something like in 4 years, apparently. So another generation of Ortons. That'd be like the father, Bob Orton Sr., Randy. That'd be like the fourth generation of Ortons. Oh my God, a fourth generation. Crazy. So what about Nakamura?
I love Shin. It just kind of seems like I don't know how you make it. I don't know how you heat it up unless in time to make it make sense.
I just don't like this War Game because there's no heat on either side. There's no real heat. It's just a match. No. Like that's not the essence of War Games.
And that's
one
that's
side
the problem.
beats the other side, and I'm mad at you. We can't get this done in all these other regular matches. We put into War Games and we end this at War Games. There's no real heat at all.
For the same reason that Hunter reportedly wants to get rid of Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view gimmick, because not that he wants to get rid of it completely, but he wants to reserve Hell in a Cell for the biggest of blow-off feuds. So whether you do it at Mania or SummerSlam to kind of blow off the biggest of feud that needs to be blown off that way, it's the same thing for War Games. Like it's hard when you haven't been building these teams because again, like Mia Yim is suddenly okay. She's been more involved with the Judgment Day storyline than she has anything else, and now Rhea Ripley's also in that. Right. It's just. You're kind of pigeonholing a bunch of different feuds and trying to make them into a big thing. And initially I was excited for War Games, like, oh, okay, this will be interesting. And this right now is a swing and a miss for Hunter because the build for it, I'm not that excited for the Saturday after Thanksgiving in this gimmick.
But
The
what do we
women's
say?
one, I feel like, makes a
I
little
was gonna
more
say-
sense.
I was gonna say, bro. What do we always say on GKW? Once it gets in the ring, it'll be a banger. But the build
Yep.
of it sucks. So
Yep.
go ahead.
No, completely agree. I mean, I think the women's one, their sort of storyline. The men one, the only other, I had two options. Like, I think Seth, like you talk about over baby faces, he is full blown baby face right now. Like,
Is
you
he?
have the Roman connection, like that you could sort of make sense of.
He's kind of a tweener. I mean, he's not a full blown babyface. He's certainly over with the crowd, but I mean, he's not going out there and giving cheap pops Mick Foley style. I mean, I still feel like he has a couple of heel tendencies
They're
to
doing
him.
the singing and stuff. Like, I feel like the whole theory last, like that was him sort of making that flip. Like, this is the Seth Rollins face that we're seeing right now.
He's the number one champion on the Raw brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. but because Roman doesn't show up, it's him. Seth Rollins starts off Raw, just like, and I just roll my eyes when I see him coming down there. It's like it's strange. He's went from heel to babyface and pretty much saying and doing the same things.
Right.
The only difference is he's got a streak of blonde in his hair. That's it.
The only other option I had is you sort of play up Survivor Series where we've seen some like young guys or NXT. So like Adam Cole did so well last year. We saw The Rock make his debut. Like, maybe this is where you throw Braun in and say, hey, like, youngster, like, this is your chance, and makes his debut. And not that he even needs to like go over, but just put him in there and sort of give him that shine and sort of elevate him a little bit more.
Sure, someone's got to take the pinfall. Yeah. You take it. You submit. No, seriously, like,
Which is fine.
I have no problem with Braun Breaker being in there because there's no heat anyway. So I have no problem with that. But once it's in the ring, because it's the Brawling Brutes, because it's McIntyre, I think it's going to be fine. And Roman's in it too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All the bloodline. Yes. All five.
Okay.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, with Roman being in it, like, I think this is a legit opportunity for Roman to take a pin. And you build towards Mania and you sort of make that next star. But none of these guys should be that. Like, that's the issue.
Jake Paul.
I guess. He's hurt. He tore up his knee.
No, he said Jake Paul, not Logan.
Oh, the other one? I don't know the difference. Which one is which? Okay, the other one. Got it.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I mean, the Pauls treat WWE like a jungle gym. So let's just be jumping on. I mean, I'd say Ray, but there's no real problem that these wrestlers would have against the bloodline. On the women's side, I have a couple of choices. So the emotional attachment with Carmella coming back after what she's gone through, is she okay to wrestle?
Okay.
That's the emotional tie.
That'd be interesting though, because I feel, has she ever been a baby face? Like, I only think of her as a heel.
This is her chance.
Yeah.
And someone's got to take the pinfall.
I love that's how we're now thinking of this. Like, I don't know who's going to be in this, so whoever it is clearly the one taking the pinfall.
That's right, exactly. Well, someone's got to take it, right? Someone's got to take it. That's just what you do. I mean, it's wrestling 101. Like, bring in someone. Like, hey, this person's the person that's going to be the fifth person, and they take the pinfall. They lose. Someone's got to take it. Is Becky ready? She healthy enough? She ready?
I don't think so. It seemed like the timeline with her injury seemed more Rumble-ish. So I think we're like 2.5 months, like best case scenario for her. So I would not think that Becky would be available.
Okay, this is the pin in the balloon. So no Shayna Baszler, right? You don't want that?
No, she's doing the stuff with Ronda.
Yeah, she's full-fledged heel. Like, she's choking out people in the back when they're not expecting it. So I don't think you can make that make sense.
Is there an NXT person, bro? We're forgetting. Is it a Lash legend? Who's coming out there? I don't know these people. Give me an NXT person.
No one. Like, there's no one there that, like, babyface makes sense-wise. Like, I looked through it today. I was like, all right, maybe there's someone. I was like, no, there's no one there.
So are we going to get stuck with Dana Brooke? Like, is that where we are with the women's roster? Like, Dana Brooke is the only healthy babyface left, and they need her to fill out this fifth person in War Games?
I mean, what about Sasha? We think
ready?
she works there, right? Like,
I don't think she works there.
WWE? You don't think so? Okay.
I don't think she does.
WWE.com. Check the roster. See if she's on.
She's there. I looked at it today. Her and Naomi are both on that roster page.
Oh,
Whatever that means. again, so is Mr. McMahon. So take it what you want. Blame the web guy.
They both have to come back together, though. It can't be just one and not the other. They
Correct.
both have to return.
Okay.
As a two-woman power trip, and they go, they try to battle damage control or whatever. That's what's got to happen.
Yeah. So when Mia Yim got involved and inserted into this, that ended that thought. Because again, it would have made the most sense. You already had the three of Bianca and Alexa Bliss and Asuka. So it made sense. You had the two opening spots. But yeah, I'm with J Hood. They have to come back as a pair. It seems like this at this point.
So what's our answers? I gave you a few. Or is it someone outside of the WWE for both sides? Like who just left Impact? There's somebody that just left Impact that just walked out. What about her? Let me look her up.
Yeah, give me her.
I'm thinking, is it someone outside the company? Because you need a pop, right? If you got two TBAs. If you say, hey, here's a fifth person, Tamina. Well, what the hell? What's that? Right?
So the fifth person is going to be Braun then, right? Fifth person for the men is going to be Braun Strowman.
Sure. What's wrong with that? So?
Well, okay. Well, if it's that, announce it beforehand. Don't make us wait till Saturday.
Oh, the Saturday. Yes, correct. That needs to be announced beforehand. If you're building up to a surprise and the surprise is Braun Strowman, like you already used the surprise with Braun Strowman when he returned. You cannot use him as a surprise when he's already on the roster.
Yeah, give that to me on SmackDown or Raw. It's like, all right, fine. Like, get the disappointment out of the way.
So, and then on the women's side, who? Noelle Foley? Nikita Lyons? It would be funny if Mick Foley's daughter came out there. That'd be funny.
Like seriously, like the only babyface that I think is healthy is Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I think you're right, which is awful.
You can't come in there with that. You can't do that though to the audience. You can't do that.
I'm trying to think. I just don't know who else. Like on the women's side, like they're scraping, man. Unless they convince Charlotte to come back babyface and come back early. Because she's gone, and she's not gone because of a health reason. She left and got married, and by all accounts is fully healthy. So unless you convince Charlotte to come back babyface.
Yeah, it almost feels like it has to be Candice, and there's like, hey, you're going to have to work hurt. Like, pop some Tylenol, like, we'll put some tape on, like, we'll protect you, but we got no one else here.
Is that what you're going to do to Candice LeRae? Is that what you're going to do to her?
You have to.
God. There's some... You know what? So this is a damn shame. Her wrestling show can't come up with a name. There's a woman that walked out of the company, and Deonna Purrazzo was like, "Where are you going?" And she says, "I'm going home." Oh, here it is, right here. Oh, it's Chelsea Green. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
What are you doing? I was supposed to beat her. It's okay. I was supposed to retire Mickie James, Deonna. I'm going. Fine. But where? Where are you going? I'm going home, Deonna. Fine. I'm going home.
Wait. What if you get the package deal? What if you get Chelsea Green and her husband? That fills both of those spots.
I love that, actually. I actually love that. I love that because there's been speculation, right?
Oh, there absolutely. Like I saw just a report that Triple H really enjoyed the Zack Ryder character, and certainly would have potential interest in bringing Chelsea Green, if not Matt Cardona, back into the WWE fold.
Bro, you'll love this. I love because once again, this is the time of the show where we say that Gabe Knights was a genius. So this is why this is brilliant, because Matt Cardona can come back to the WWE as an independent, obnoxious independent guy in WWE. That's how you guys do business. Do you know how much money I made in the independent circuit? And I'm here. I'm helping you guys. Like, it could be that guy. It could be a complete asshole to the WWE roster. Like, I'm not a WWE superstar. I'm Matt Cardona. I'm, independent superstar. They could actually do this in reverse, where it's like, you guys are the idiots. I'm actually the star because I made money in independence, and I'm here to help you. Something like that.
I love that.
And do it in NXT.
Okay.
That's brilliant, actually. I love that.
That. So It makes as much sense as I think any of their other options that they have in terms of filling out these current rosters. But again, the men's side, they have more options just because the men's roster is deeper. Yes, you can throw somebody like a Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio. Like, you can throw somebody in there and make it somewhat make sense. The women's roster is just so thin right now. Finding a fifth babyface is going to be tough. Unless, again, Liv Morgan.
To do what?
Take the fall. She's filling the role you want.
Liv Morgan. They tried.
Yeah, I know, but like, again, they might have to try again.
I
mean, the other one on the men's side, it's the anniversary of the debut. Could you get 2 dates out of Dwayne?
Is Bray available?
Not Bray. Dwayne. Can you get The Rock?
I heard you. No, you can't get 2 dates out of him. No, he's struggling trying to keep Young Rock on NBC. That thing is falling off.
Especially with one of the dates being War Games. Like, the last time the dude wrestled, he tore a pec against John Cena. So now we want him to come back and do War Games.
Hit some shots, hit an elbow, get the 3, and there's your Mania build.
Got an idea? Bloodline. You be part of what the Brawling Brutes on. Like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Who in the blue hell are the Brawling Brutes? That's the response that The Rock would give.
Bray not available? Is he available?
Is he a babyface? I guess he's a babyface.
He's introducing himself to people. So maybe not yet. Maybe we're all
He's got his big feud with LA Knight to occupy him.
Oh, that's what you came back for, by the way. That's what you came back for? All this buildup, all these weeks. Hi, I'm Bray Wyatt, and you're LA Knight? Mid-Carter?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, that's very generous for you to call LA Knight a mid-Carter. It's very generous.
Close your eyes and hear LA Knight, and all you'll hear is The Rock. That's what he sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Rock and Stone Cold have a baby? Sounds like LA Knight. Very peculiar. It's peculiar. You'll text me and tell me that's true once you hear him talk again.
All right. Can't wait to listen tomorrow night. What do we got number 3, Brian?
All right. Saturday night, it is AEW Full Gear, the first pay-per-view since the Brawl Out situation. 7 title matches on the night. What are you guys most looking forward to at Full Gear?
I am... So MJF, I think, and seeing how that plays out is number 1 on my list. But sign me up for Wardlow versus Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, just 3 meaty men in that ring. Just, that's going to be great. That is just going to be physical. It is going to be, and I love Samoa Joe. I think he's going to do a great job helping out those 2 younger guys. Ultimately, I think Wardlow still goes over, but that is a match that I am looking forward to that they added last night on Dynamite.
I think that Storm and Hayter, if given time, could be a show stealer. I think the main event's the main event. I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I just think Storm and Hayter could be something given the time. I think the Elite's return will be interesting. Very odd the way they built this whole thing up. Like, so this is old school. We don't actually get to see them until you pay for it. Like, no promos, no being the Elite. You don't see anything. It's just they're there, and then it is dissolved right off your screen, right? It's just like, that's interesting. And but the mild reaction in Bridgeport, Connecticut, when they appeared on the screen Wednesday night, like, hey, it's going to be the Elite in their return. And people were like, yeah, the Elite. Anyone seen Bray Wyatt? That WWE crowd that they entertained yesterday, that Bridgeport, Connecticut, completely WWE crowd. I mean, you would think that the whole building would have just came loose. Like, wow, man, it's going to be the Elite. They're actually returning. It's happening. And they were like, yeah, that's cool. Very mild reaction.
Yeah.
A little golf clap for him. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
And Pac, by the way, I think Pac did a great job with the promo, given the material he was given. Like, hey, I'm not an idiot. I've seen these things. So throwing out the challenge, I did enjoy that. But yes, it was a very mild reaction for the Elite.
But it also felt weird just to sort of be the debut or like the re-debut. Like, it was weird to see that. I do think, though, that match will deliver. Like, we've seen what the Bucks and the Lucha Bros can do. We obviously know what Kenny and Pac can do. So, like, that match I'm looking forward to. The other one, just to see what she has, is Saraya and Britt. Like, I think it could be a fun match, assuming Saraya can still go. Like, there's obviously going to be some rust, and I think she has to go over. Like, she has to go over on Saturday night, right?
Does she?
Does she? I love the tales of the neophyte booker. You get Saraya on the roster. Can she still go? I have no idea. If she's the shits, I cannot wait to get out on the show and talk about it. Because all this buildup, right? Like, I've been at the Tokyo Dome, which she lied about. She's actually at Sumo Hall. She never wrestled at Tokyo Dome. I've been at Madison Square Garden. I've been at all these places, right? And you're putting AEW down by putting Britt Baker down. All this buildup, she better deliver. She better deliver, or I will take this show over and just yell about Saraya for an hour. Because all this buildup, if she's medically cleared and still can't wrestle or doesn't wrestle well against a very good Britt Baker, it's not going to be good.
Can you put Saraya over at this point? I mean, Britt had another fire promo in the back last night. Did a great job. And again, pushing herself, and not wrong, by the way. Nothing she said was a lie. She is AEW. And Saraya has not done a damn thing to prove to me that that's going to get beating Britt Baker is going to get over. Like, I think there's a possibility that if she goes over, she gets booed still.
Well, that's fine then. Flip the two of them, but still let Saraya win. Like, let Britt take a run as a face. Saraya is the heel, but like Britt winning puts Saraya in the same group as everyone else on that women's roster. It's like, you have all this momentum, they lose to Britt, and then they're just forgotten about, and they're going to be fed to Jade in a few months.
At least in fairness, at least this time, the momentum was halted by, Saraya herself in the promos that she's given. Like, this thing is already starting to go down before we got to the match. Like, everybody else, like, we got excited, then got to the match, and like, oh, okay, I guess they're not going to have her beat Britt. Like, This is starting to feel like it's starting to nosedive a little bit already. And I'm excited. Like, I was super excited when she debuted and thought, what can this mean for the women's roster? And they've told the complete wrong story. And they've swung and missed. So if she can't go, Jay Hood is 100% right. If she does not deliver on Saturday, oh boy, I don't know what you do.
It's our first match back. This is why you have house shows, pal. They don't do house shows, so she's coming in cold. Yep. Taking on Britt Baker, who knows what to do in that ring. They've never fought. They've never wrestled each other before, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm sure they'll have a few practices, but that's not the same as getting in there week in and week out and wrestling. I don't know what to expect. Like, I agree with you, bro. It's that it'll be interesting. I just don't know what to expect, it's actually the hallmark of what we're doing here. We're hoping to see something we haven't seen before for the good.
Yep, no, I agree. And that's the thing also about this card, like it being the first one since All Out, like I feel like it's obviously going to deliver in the ring, which they always do. But like, what is that moment or that return or that surprise that's out there? Because free agency is sort of dried up, especially now that people actually want to work for Hunter. Is that moment on Saturday just that MJF wins? Like, what is that moment that you could see happening on Saturday that is like, we look back and say, oh yeah, that's the night X happened?
Like, I mean, maybe
the title.
Maybe you get some sort of blow up of the BCC, and the BCC never took off. With two of them being in that 4-way match for the ROH Championship, there seems to be, you could play up some sort of split between Claudio and Bryan Danielson, and then instead of kind of the swerve we talked about earlier with it being Regal turning his back on Mox and costing him and helping put MJF over, maybe that's something you do when you blow up the BCC. That's about all I can think of, though.
Yeah, I guess I want to see. I guess we'll find out if Regal's not doing commentary. Then maybe he will switch on Mox if he's down at ringside, which he rarely is, by the way. If that'll be the indicator. We just have to put those breadcrumbs out there for people that's going to be watching this. If Regal's not on commentary and he's there at ringside, or if he comes down the ramp, look out. There's going to be a switch here. And then, if it does happen, Mox is going to be mad at Regal. The rest of the BCC is going to be mad at Regal. How does Regal defend himself? Well, he's got MJF and the group and the firm to protect him. I guess.
Well, and at least then the BCC can have a feud with somebody other than the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Is that
Yes.
allowed?
It's like
When was Blood and Guts? Blood and Guts was like years ago. It's
Yes.
been 87 years. Please end this feud. I beg you. Let them do something else. And please, Tony, I beg you, put FTR on the damn card.
There's a thought. How about the best tag team in the world? You can't get them TV time. It's amazing.
So, and here's the other thing. So we talked about how there is going to be an AEW show in the northwest part of the country. First time they're going up there. And there are so many of the wrestlers on the roster that have interest in wrestling over in New Japan. And their show at the beginning of the year. Guess who's going to be over there? FTR. Guess who I don't blame? FTR. Why would you show up to AEW television when you can't be there? Guess who's just going to be chanting your name in the Tokyo Dome? Yeah, everybody over in Japan, go over there, FTR. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the AEW champions, so yes, you don't owe AEW anything.
No.
This is what you it's just you have Tony Khan will tell you, I have a relationship with New Japan. I've got a relationship. I own ROH. I have a relationship with AAA. Okay, that's fine, but the championships are not on FTR. You have a relationship with those other three promotions, but that does not help your promotion. It helps the other three. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it was something that was questioned in the conference today, which we'll get to in a little bit, as Tony Khan talked to the press. I was part of that media scrum. He tried to make excuses for that, so we'll get to it later.
Well, and it's amazing, as little as FTR is featured, they're still as over as just about anybody in the company. Like every time you see top guys on that Jumbotron, like people start going nuts. They love 7-star FTR. And they just can't find TV time. It's unbelievable.
Nope.
I mean, the last pay-per-view they were on it in the 6-man. Wasn't that at All Out?
Yeah.
It was them and Wardlow. Like, you
That's
wasted
correct.
them there. Like, it makes no sense.
Yep. That's it.
What do we got in that? You teased it there, Jay Hood. So, Brian, what do we got in that news and notes section?
All right, we'll start things off in the NWA. We have a new NWA World Champion, Tyrus, formerly known as the Funkasaurus. The new world champion. He took out Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona at NWA Hard Times. He has tweeted since, I know what the woke hater trolls cheer for. Their boos and hate build my self-esteem.
I mean, it's why doesn't he just join Braun Strowman and tweeting about the flippity doodahs or whatever Braun was tweeting about? Look, anybody just go, Brian, you sent it to us in our group texts. Anybody can go find it. He's not even on the top rope. He's on the middle rope. Please go look at the knee that he delivers off the second rope. It is god awful. It is terrible. And I've never seen him on Fox News. I don't give a rip with his politics. I really don't. I just know he can't wrestle. Yep. And it's terrible. That looks really, really bad. Like, I know.
Billy Corgan said on JBL's podcast, quote, I want you to watch people who you believe can beat your ass. So there's your world champ.
It is.
He can't move.
Yes, I understand.
You can't beat anybody up if you can't move. I understand he's big, but just because you're big doesn't mean you can beat anybody up. Like, people just run circles around you.
Brother, let me tell you something. I heard Billy Corgan say that I like matches like Tyrus against Trevor Murdoch, and if you don't like that, you don't like the NWA. Pretty much saying, if you don't like what I book, you don't have to watch. Well, sir, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, sir, because I won't be watching your program. 600 people to see Tyrus win the championship. You don't have TV. You're just trying to get anybody that's going to watch your YouTube show, and then you make that comment. No one likes our champion, doesn't like Trevor Murdoch, and you don't like the NWA. I heard on Sunday the conversation that Nick Aldis had with Sam Roberts. Great conversation. And Nick pretty much said the reason why that the NWA is the way it is because Billy Corgan thinks he's a booker and just not very good at it. And you can see that. Tyrus is your heavyweight champion. He is the worst champion in North America and probably beyond. As a heavyweight champion, as a face of your company, it is embarrassing. It is. Because, again, another big guy doesn't need a championship. Doesn't really need that. He used to be a big guy. But no, you went from Nick Aldis, who looked like Ric Flair, who came across like Harley Race, who wrestled, who helped sell out in Chicago with Cody Rhodes.
All
right?
in.
But yes, before AEW was a real thing. And then you go from Nick Aldis to this? Seriously? It is the worst. It is the shits. It is.
Well, and by putting it on Tyrus, you just like give credence to literally everything that Aldis has been saying the last 2 weeks. Like anytime he gets in front of a microphone, that's where he said. I know he said it to Sam Roberts on Sunday, but he has literally told that to any open microphone he can find.
So,
the thing is, like you mentioned him being the worst world champion. I think before that, it was probably Trevor Murdoch. Like he has no personality. So like it's a good transition, I guess. And like I'm sure the logic is, oh, people are gonna see him on TV with our title, and they're gonna go find the NWA. But like, how many casual people are like, oh, I need to go punch this up on YouTube or fight and pay the money to watch it because I saw him on Fox News? Like,
wait,
I don't quite get the logic there.
Did he show up for his Fox News shows with the 10 pounds of gold?
Yeah,
he did
that.
Okay, that is kind of cool though. Like, yeah, okay, I'll give him props for that. That's kind of cool. Like,
He
show
did
up
that
on a
when
news show with it. Sure.
When he was their TV champ, he did that as well. Like he's on that show, The Five on Fox, and like that's fine. But is that audience going to come over and say, I'm going to buy a ticket to, it's a rural place in Kentucky to watch him? Like, no.
Probably
No one's
not.
going
To that point,
to watch me. Huh?
You mentioned him bringing the TV title on. Like, if you're trying to get that casual fan, that could have been any belt then. Like, you don't need to put the world title on. Just give him whatever belt you have and let him go on TV with that, and it'll have the same effect.
Just a real quick story. So I'm working with Mark Henry on Busted Open on Sirius XM. I'm filling in. And our guest is Trevor Murdoch. This is the weekend before he took on Nick Aldis for the championship at the Chase Hotel in St. Louis. And so, you see him on the Zoom, and before we're in commercial, and Mark said, "Hey, Trev, how's it going, man? I ain't seen you in a while." He goes, "Oh, man, just, living the dream," all that stuff, right? And Mark says, "Hey," and I don't say anything because I'm like, "Oh, it's Trevor Murdoch." It's brother to brother for wrestler conversation, right? I just stay out of it. I just listen, just preparing, right? Mark says, "Hey, man, you win the championship? You win? You going over?" And Trev's like, "I don't know. Not sure, but maybe," like that, right? Wouldn't say, because the matchup was Nick Aldis versus Trevor Murdoch, and Murdoch's career was on the line. I'm like, well, definitely Nick Aldis is winning. If your career is over, it was over before. And Trevor beat freaking Nick Aldis for the championship. I'm like, we just had him on. He could have gave us the wink or anything like that. And if he would have told me for real, like, hey, by the way, I'm going over win the championship, I would have been like, this is nonsense. You don't deserve an NWA championship. Like, if you deserve a championship, I deserve a championship. Like, are you kidding me? Like, so clearly he knew he was going over. He's like, I don't know, maybe. Like, yeah, you're beating Nick Aldis? Really? No one believes
it. Feels like in a few months we're talking about NWA sort of closing its doors.
Possibly.
So
It's just like they don't have TV. TV does matter. Nick Aldis says, I wish I could do all that 10 pounds of gold stuff. I wish I could have done that on television. And it's not the case. They're going backwards as a company, for sure.
Elsewhere in news and notes was announced this week, the Vince McMahon documentary will air on Vice December 13th at 9 p.m. It's a 2-hour documentary. It was originally scheduled to air back in October. That was the night AEW and NXT went head-to-head, so they switched it up to December 13th.
What's it about?
The 9 lives of Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Not produced by WWE. It's a Vice production.
Is it up to date?
Don't know.
Okay. I don't. If it's not up to date, I don't want to see it.
I mean, it's. I feel like so. I do believe it's produced by the guys who do Dark Side of the Ring, correct?
I think so. Yes.
So I would think that they'd have it. I mean, they've been pretty good at keeping stuff up to date and getting stuff up to date. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I will probably watch that.
I mean, I know the stories chapter and verse. I just want to know this last part that we have covered here this year. Is that up to date? Because you can't throw that documentary out and just stop at WrestleMania was great. So long, everybody. Like, that's not going to work, right? You can't Jerry World, WrestleMania, over 100,000 people. What a great promoter, Vince McMahon. Now, if it's not about the allegation,
so to me, what you do is if you, because there's only so much information that's out there, and if they don't have that information, you can end this on a cliffhanger and say part 2 coming soon, where you end with a cliffhanger with him resigning, doing that, and then try to gather that information for part 2 that comes out sometime next year.
Right, because there's also the Netflix one that's been tabled that Vince and the WWE have a hand in. That one ends at WrestleMania. That one ends at the triumph of like, oh, look at this guy selling it out, and like, don't worry about what happened after. Like, that's how that one ends, the Netflix one, if we ever see that one.
Yeah, because otherwise I could just be the a-hole and just spoil it for you and tell you what it is without even knowing. I can tell you the story. The story is that Vince McMahon was a bad kid, and that he was his father was a promoter. And he bought his father out of the WWF at the time, and he made sure that all of the territories were done. He bought them all out, AWA in Florida and Texas and all these other places. He built that and was able to parlay that money into WrestleMania. WrestleMania became big. The 93,000 in Detroit wasn't real. It was more like 75,000 for WrestleMania 3 for Andre Hogan. He was able to go through. He made women feel bad, obviously. As we remember Trish Stratus, barking like a dog. It became from a nice wrestling company to just sex and salacious and outrageous and had a battle with WCW. The whole steroid trial. I mean, that's pretty much the documentary. That's it. I mean, if it stops at WrestleMania and Vince is great, then it's wasting my time because I know the stories. I just wanted them to see if they do a deep dive on this last part. That's what I want.
Yep, and then finally in news and notes, Tony Khan meeting with the media today. A couple of notes of immediate impact. It was announced that the end of the World Title Eliminator Tournament will not take place on Saturday. Instead, we'll see Ricky Starks versus Lance Archer on Friday. The winner of that will face Brian Cage in the pre-show on Saturday. The finals against Ethan Page will then take place next week on Dynamite. And also he says at the end of the year, we'll talk about Ring of Honor TV deal.
So that means clearly it's going to be Ricky Starks winning, right? Because if Ricky Starks was injured and just going to go and was going to lose, they just replace him and have somebody else lose to Lance Archer. Like that's and you keep everything on schedule. You were in on it, Jay Hood. What else stood out to you?
Asked about the Punk scrum at All Out and why he didn't stop him. Khan said that he didn't know what he was going to say and that he can't comment about anything beyond that. So, because I think there was Nick Hausman actually asked at the end of this press conference, like, hey, man, I was sitting right there. How come you didn't stop Punk from saying what you want to say? And so he says, I didn't know what he was going to say and would not comment further. You said, bro, it's about the TV deal. Tony Khan says that he will evaluate the ROH situation and the TV deal after Final Battle. He points to their pay-per-view success and talks about all the wrestlers and stuff. And so there's that. Thunder Rosa is a thing that it's something that really resonates with me because I find it fascinating that nobody on the announcers on AEW TV are saying anything about Thunder Rosa. Yes, we know that Tony Storm is the interim champion, so we just say nothing about the world champion. Tony Khan says that he is considering stripping Thunder Rosa of the AEW Women's Championship, but is weighing the pros and cons. Concedes it's not an easy situation. What's that
Could
mean?
we see them almost take a WWE approach and just sort of stop using the word interim and not make a big deal of it?
Yes, I think you could do that. If someone's out for 60 days, I mean they're just out.
Yeah.
I guess the feeling is like, oh, we got to keep that championship rolling. You got to have some kind of championship match. Someone can't just sit on it and be injured for 60 or 90 days. I guess that's the thought, right?
Yeah, and again, it's a thought that he borrowed from, MMA, the MMA world. We see those interim championship champions, and then the interim fights the current, and you unify the titles. And again, as critical as we are of Tony Khan at times, I like that idea. But when you do that, you have to have an idea of when that champion is coming back, because you can't just have an interim champ. Like if somebody tears an ACL and they're out for a year, you can't have an interim champ for an entire year.
Yep.
Tony Khan praises FTR as one of the best tag teams in the world, indicates that he'd like to showcase them. And water's wet. And now that's the end. He's had enough. Gabe Neitzel has sunk into his chair.
What are we talking about? What you book the guys? It's up to you. Oh, I like that's like so. I'm in Milwaukee. That's like me going to a Matt LaFleur press conference, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, when he goes, "Man, I should have given the ball to Aaron Jones more." Guess what? You call the plays, man. Like that's your fault. There's nobody to blame but you.
That's correct. That's correct. And so there'll be more, but that's pretty much the gist of the press conference. Just a lot of, he goes into promoter speak a lot, so he should promote up that event, Full Gear, and all that. So, but I thought that those are the highlights of his 1 hour talk fest.
Jay Hood, I like you. I just wish we featured you more.
Yeah, I know. I think we have control of that. It's like, just when he kind of, I know he's not your champion, but he actually is. They are your champions because they have the ROH straps.
Yeah,
so you can feature them if you'd like. It's a choice.
Okay, all right. My head just exploded. Let's go ahead and move on to the match of the week. What do you guys have as your match of the week?
I've got a few. I think we sort of teased it last week. Usos New Day. Obviously, they delivered. We knew they were going to do that when you put the four of them in the ring together. A couple others, I think, from Monday, Theory versus Dolph. I really enjoyed, and I'm really enjoying the Theory character. Like, I think they're doing a good job with that, and the payoff of him beating someone big at Mania, I think, is big. And the other one from Friday also, Dante Martin versus Brian Cage. Didn't have high expectations for that, but, like, those two, like, it just clicked, the difference in styles, like, Brian Cage, one of those weird guys. We don't know what they're ever going to do with him, but I thought that was a fun match last Friday on Rampage.
So I really enjoyed. So I have a love-hate thing going on with Dolph Ziggler.
Okay.
I love him, but then I get sad every time they put him on television because like he gets so close to being over and it makes you think, well, what if they actually allowed anything that he did to gain momentum? And especially being this close to Survivor Series, it made me think of when he was the sole survivor. This came after he had one of the most famous cash-ins of Money in the Bank and ended up winning the World Championship, got hurt. So he just never got that momentum. So then they let him be the sole survivor. And he goes over the Authority at the time. It was the Authority he goes over. He's the sole survivor, and then he just like got immediately squashed the next Monday night. So just like every time I see Dolph, because of course this guy can go. This guy's been able to go for a decade. The dude sells and bumps his ass off, has a great offensive repertoire in terms of the moves that he can pull off. He's so entertaining to watch. So yeah, of course he was going to put on a great match. And the ending was, what they did with Theory, and it served its purpose for Theory, but it just makes me sad for Dolph because I think there was so much squandered potential there. Not because of him, because of the way they decided not to capitalize on any of the popularity that he had. And by the way, the crowd was super behind Dolph again. Like the crowd was super behind Dolph and wanted him to beat Theory, and that's what makes me sad every time because I know he's not going to win, but they let him get that close, and it just makes me. It's every Dolph Ziggler match is the same, and it makes me sad.
And Dolph Ziggler agrees with you, or did agree with you until I say the last 5 or 6 years, where now everything's like whatevs.
Yeah,
I used to be a world champion, whatevs. Because he knows that he's just been sunk in that company. He's making good money. He talks about it on stage as a comedian. Shout out to ESPN Cleveland, by the way. He's a Cleveland guy. So that's, it's what it is. That was on my list as well as far as great matches for a couple of reasons. One, with Austin Theory, I love the crowd of Louisville for saying to Seth Rollins, hey, that whole thing with the cash in, this was stupid. And it came out of nowhere. There's like this whole section just stood up all at once as if it was planned. They all stood up at one time and said, this is stupid. Talking about the whole cash-in thing. I'm like, well, how about that, Louisville? Good job, man. Like, have your voice heard. And it stopped Rollins in his tracks. He's looking around like, Theory will be out here. You can tell him how stupid he is. You can do that, right? So shout out to that. So that matchup was good. But there's two schools of thought with that real quick. One is like, if Theory is different, doesn't have the phone anymore, and he's pissed off because he lost the briefcase, either he could have squashed Ziggler, and my thought was while I was watching the match, you're having a hard time with this part-timer? You're the next guy? You got to take him 20 minutes? Come on, man. I mean, you're Austin Theory. You're here every week, whether we want you or not. Can't you squash this guy like he's nothing, and he didn't. He had a hard time beating him. But the thing I really liked is the afterbirth. Afterwards, wow, he beat the crap out of Ziggler, and it took him to another level of anger. So 2 ways to do it: squash him or beat him up afterwards. And by the way, that ended up being a no contest. There was actually no contest. That sounds like a disqualification to me, but it was they didn't want Theory to lose again. That's why I call it a new contest, I think.
Yeah, well, and J Hood, Raw's 3 hours, so I think we know why they went the way they went. They needed to fill those 20 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly did. I like that, and I did like the AR Fox Top Flight Death Triangle match.
Yeah,
it's what I thought it was going to be, and it was a lot of high flying, and it delivered.
Yeah, and AR Fox reportedly offered an AEW contract post-show last night.
Oh, everyone gets one.
all elite.
Everybody gets one.
He's all elite.
Yep.
But it was good to see the Martin brothers back in the ring together too. It was good to see that, because again, they've tried to, take those guys off and get them on some sort of trajectory a couple of different times. They've been sidelined with a couple of different injuries. So to see them back together, hopefully they get involved in the tag team title scene once we get done with Swerve and Our Glory and the Acclaimed and their their third, the trilogy finishes up this weekend as well.
So guys, we have a conundrum here because next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So what do we do at GKW next week?
Special Wednesday night, baby. Right after Dynamite, we're going to be hopping on GKW across all of these social media platforms. And then, of course, if you can't join us live because maybe you're traveling, maybe you're saving, and you want to wait because it's on your DVR, well, guess what? It's the holidays. You can then download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts and then listen to it on your travels to your family as you're going to eat your turkey that Thursday or maybe even that Friday, whichever. We want to make it as easy for everyone to still be able to listen to some great wrestling content here on GKW all throughout the holidays.
So let's see. That means that we won't be on Thanksgiving, but we'll be on Wednesday after Dynamite, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. And that's a shout out, by the way. This is special for ESPN 1000 in Chicago because AEW Dynamite's going to be at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. So this is a special for ESPN 1000 Chicago. Wintrust Arena, the home of AEW. All shows in Chicago.
Well, I don't know if Wintrust is because they go to the Now Arena. They do Wintrust. They've done the United Center. Just Chicago in general. Just Chicago in general is the home. They go everywhere in Chicago. They got to make sure they hit all the arenas in the greater Chicago Metroplex. But again, they can rely on that crowd to show up. I've been there for a Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The crowd shows up and they have a great time because Chicago isn't a wrestling town. It pains me to say, but
Oh yes,
yeah.
A wrestling town. Oh yeah. Oh, and listen, I can't wait for our West Palm show. It's gonna be great. Gonna have our ESPN West Palm show.
What is that gonna be on like a Saturday after a house show? Is that?
Yeah, that's all we get.
Little James L. Knights interaction. It's gonna be great for Miami. It's gonna be great, man.
NXT house shows in Fort Pierce. You better get ready for those breakdowns.
Oh, the Coconut Tour. Oh, my God. No, the Coconut Tour. No.
Jay Hood's all the way out on that. So make sure you tune in again. Next special one next Wednesday night. We will not have a show on Thursday with Thanksgiving next week, so join us next Wednesday night after Dynamite for a special GKW on Wednesday nights. Plenty still. I'm sure to talk about that Wednesday night. We'll be reacting to Full Gear. We'll be getting ready for Survivor Series War Games. That's